guys? Happy New Year. We are back with the early predictions for UFC 324. Justin Gaethje taking on Paddy Pimblett. This is the first title fight of the year. We got two title fights. We also got Amanda Nunes taking on Kayla Harrison. This is the first card on the new Paramount deal that the UFC has done. A lot of exciting fights on this card. A lot of exciting fights to come with the Paramount Plus deal. I'm excited to give you guys my early predictions. Maybe things will change, you know, as we get closer to fight week, but I'm feeling pretty confident in the predictions. So without further ado, make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. And let's get the full card predictions underway with the first fight of the night. We got Ty Miller taking on Adam Fugit. I'm going to pick Ty Miller. I think it's a pretty... I look at Adam Fugit, like, he's not bad, right? He's a pretty solid stepping stone type of fighter. That's how I like to describe him. Like, if you go through, you know, some of his matchups last time out, heavily favored prospect in Islam Dulatov, got knocked out there. He fought Josh Quinlan, but Josh Quinlan wasn't really, you know, a solid prospect. He was more of like a power puncher. But you go before that, Mike Malott got subbed in that fight, got a win over Kinoshita. And then he also fought Michael Morales 3.5 years ago. He had a little bit of success early in that fight, but Michael Morales, you know, ended up finding the shot, knocked him out. But again, Adam Fugit, he can have success against guys. I think he will have a couple moments of success against Ty Miller. But I look at Ty Miller, he kind of reminds me of like a Cam Ralston, who also made his debut a couple months ago, got the knockout over Andre Petroski. Lock of the week for me on that card as well. He's got a solid 1-2, not the most powerful guy, I would say. Does walk forward, likes to, you know, be on that pressure. He likes to get his opponent up on the fence and, you know, put his combinations together there. I think his takedown defense is going to be tested here. I do think Adam Fugit is a guy who can mix in the striking with the wrestling decently. I don't think he's the greatest at it, but he can, you know, control guys. He did have Michael Morales. I believe he took him down like once or twice in that fight. Had some decent control time, and then, like I said, Michael Morales was able to find the shot. I think it's going to be a rinse and repeat of prospects making their debut or, you know, second appearance against Adam Fugit, where Fugit has some success and then goes out cold. So I'm picking Ty Miller. I got a lot of respect for Fugit. He takes some really tough fights. Like Michael Morales, Mike Malott, and then Islam Dulatov is a strong three. Granted, you know, a lot of those guys were very young in their career, but look where, you know, all three of them are now. Michael Morales, damn near on the cusp of the title fight. Mike Malott, solid top 15, almost top 15 prospect. He's had, you know, a setback or two, but, you know, two impressive finishes last time. Well, not over Kevin Holland, but the finish over Charles Radtke was really impressive. And then Dulatov is a monster and a model at the same time. So I don't have anything bad to say against Adam Fugit, but I do believe he's going to end up losing here. And I think he's probably going to get knocked out. Let's go to the odds. We got Ty Miller sitting at a heavy favorite, -360, +295. I agree with the odds. Granted, you know, Miller making his debut, but I think that's the right price. Seeing that Adam Fugit is also 37 years old, taking on a young guy, 25 years old, and Ty Miller, 6'2", slight little reach advantage, half an inch, really not going to be that significant, but I think Miller's pressure forward style is going to give Fugit a lot of trouble. Round 2 is what I'm feeling. Ty Miller, round 2, round 3, maybe, you know, get pushed a little bit by Fugit, but I think Fugit is going to run out of fuel, and we're going to see Miller find the finish. So give me Ty Miller making his debut to start the card off with the finish. Next fight, we got Ricky Turcios taking on Cameron, the babyface killer SMOTHERMAN. I'll be honest, you know, 2026, I'm going to be a lot more honest with these breakdowns. I don't think Ricky Turcios is good at all. Never really liked him. I saw him, you know, make his ascension from, the Ultimate Fighter, where he fought Brady Heastan. Even on the show, I didn't think he was that good. He's really scrappy. Don't get me wrong. He's scrappy. He can strike a little bit, but it's not the cleanest. He's not really that well polished. He's very chaotic. Like, that's how he fights. He's just chaos. And it's not in a good type of way either. He doesn't have any power. Like I said, his combinations don't really flow together really well. He can put, you know, a solid jab out there, but he doesn't really stick to it. It's really a lot of flurries, pressure. But one thing he is, I'll say, better at is the wrestling. Does he control Cameron? I don't know. Because I'm looking at Cameron, I don't think he's that high level either, but he does have youth and he has a lot more time to develop compared to Turcios, where, they're only 4 years apart, but we've seen Turcios in the UFC for some time now. I think Smotherman definitely is better on the feet. He did show me that he can defend takedowns decently in his last fight against Ricky Simon. Granted, he lost, but I will say I was at the fight live actually, and that third round he actually impressed me because he had Simon on the back foot. He was throwing some really big shots. I would say, had that been a 5-round fight, I don't know why it would, but had it been a 5-round fight, or if Smotherman maybe had more time to prep for the fight because it was short notice, could have had, some better success, maybe stole another round, or maybe the fight ended up being a split decision. But he did show me that he has some upside compared to Turcios, where I don't believe this guy has improved in any of his fights since his, Ultimate Fighter finale. He's got a loss against Ayman Zahabi. He won against Kevin Natividad. But again, who is that, today? You know what I'm saying? Lost against Raul Rosas, got subbed there, and then a loss last time out to Bernardo Sopai, who is a solid prospect on the rise. I think Smotherman, he should be able to put it together. His striking isn't that smooth to me. He does have a big right hand, but I don't think he's got the biggest power in the division. Like, could he stop Turcios? Maybe. Am I going to say he does? No, because again, I'm not that confident in Cameron Smotherman, but I think he has a better upside. I think he will be able to get this, he'll be able to score with the striking compared to Turcios. I will say if he's unable to defend the takedowns, it could be a long night for him. He could be, on his back for a majority of the time because he's not that great at working back up to his feet. He was controlled in that last fight against Ricky Simon. He had low striking success against Siri City in that fight prior to. He was really just getting pieced apart, but he's not going to be at a reach disadvantage in this fight. Well, excuse me, he is, but it's not going to be Turcios using striking from range, if you get what I'm trying to say. Yes, he's at a reach disadvantage, but Turcios doesn't strike from range. So it's going to be Smotherman setting the range, using his jab, using that right hand. And I think he will attack the body more to distract Ricky from shooting takedowns. But if he does get taken down, he might end up on his back for some time. But I'm going to go with Smotherman. I think the loser of this fight probably ends up getting cut, even if one of these guys, or let's say, Smotherman wins, but it's not impressive at all. It's like a boring decision. Maybe he could be on the cusp of, go back into the regional scene. He's only 28 years old, get some more experience, and maybe we see him back in a couple of years. But again, I don't have high confidence in Smotherman winning this fight, but I am going to pick him. Minus 192 for Smotherman on the money line, plus 167 for Turcios. I think Smotherman is the rightful favorite. I do think he wins. It could be a split decision, with the wrestling success from Ricky, or, Smotherman walks through him with the striking. But again, I'm not that confident in Cameron Smotherman. I had a lot of confidence in him going into that Siri City fight, but I don't know. We'll have to see. Still young. We'll see what he got. Next fight. Michael Johnson versus Alexander Hernandez. If you don't know Michael Johnson by now, you have not been watching UFC. The guy's been in the UFC for a while. He's fought, the best of the best. He's fought Justin Gaethje. He's fought Dustin Poirier. He actually finished Dustin Poirier. Lost to Khabib. That was right before the title fight, I believe. He had him on the floor talking about, what must be done. You must tap. You was just smashing him, and then ended up getting a submission. Fought against Nate Diaz, Beneil Dariush, Edson Barboza. The guy has fought everybody. He's still around. He's been clicked, only been clicked 3 times, but he's got subbed 9 times. But I will say, when he goes out stiff. Last time that we saw him stiff was Diego Ferreira 2.5 years ago now. He's on a 3-fight win streak. Most impressive win recently was definitely Daniel Zellhuber. I actually picked Zellhuber to win in that fight, and he lost to Michael Johnson, which was very strange to me. Maybe it was an off night. But I don't know, man. Michael Johnson, he's been able to put 3 together in a row. But I think Alexander Hernandez is going to put the win streak on hold. I'm picking Alexander Hernandez. I'll say Michael Johnson is at a speed advantage. He does have power, but he also wings those shots. He's a really good striker. Don't be confused with, the age and things. If you're not familiar, he actually trains at Kill Cliff. You can see it here at the bottom. He trains at Kill Cliff. And I remember a clip circulating probably a year or two ago with Kamaru Usman saying that Michael Johnson was really the only guy at Kill Cliff that actually, made him take a break from sparring, because I believe he dropped him or something like that. But Michael Johnson is a really good striker. But I'm looking at Alexander Hernandez. He's 33 years old. He's finally put the puzzle together of the striking and the wrestling. He's coming off of 2 knockout wins. Yes, it's Diego Ferreira, who's 40 years old, and it's a Chase Hooper who can't strike at all. But he did what he was supposed to do in those matchups. He didn't go to a long decision with Diego Ferreira. He didn't get put in compromise against Chase Hooper, who's excellent at jiu-jitsu. He found a counter shot, put him down, and got him out of there in that first round. Kurt Hollabaugh win was not impressive, and then he's got a split decision win over Austin Hubbard, where it really wasn't a split decision. He won that fight outright. But Hernandez, I like his striking. I think he's going to surprise Michael Johnson with the power that he has behind his shots. I like how he circles out of exchanges well. He will circle out from the power right hand from Michael Johnson. I think he mixes in the wrestling well. I think he's got his counter game is pretty solid. It's going to be a testy fight. Am I saying Alexander Hernandez walks through Michael Johnson? No, but Michael Johnson also has that thing about him where he wins fights that he's supposed to lose and he loses fights that he's supposed to win. But I think we're going to be on the right side of the coin this time. I think Michael Johnson might get pieced, might drop. Maybe he eats one and just, survives the decision. But I'm going to pick Alexander Hernandez. I think he's going to win majority of the striking exchanges. I think Johnson's going to get caught, looking for that one shot. I don't see him having the same success against Daniel, like he did against Daniel Zellhuber, against Hernandez, who can mix in the wrestling. Michael Johnson does have solid takedown defense, but I think Hernandez is just at that point in his career where he doesn't really make that many mistakes. You look at that Zellhuber fight, and he was making a lot of mistakes, not utilizing his range, not having a high activity, not having high output. I think Alexander Hernandez is going to capitalize on, the success of Michael Johnson being against the Darius Flowers, Ottoman Zaire, who really doesn't have a chin, and Daniel Zellhuber, who I strongly believe it was just an off night. He's a sharp striker, don't get me wrong, but I don't know, man. I think Alexander Hernandez is just going to right the wrong, basically. So give me Alexander Hernandez. I think he wins. I think it's going to be a decision. I don't ultimately believe in the chin of Michael Johnson, but the dude's tough. He's been around. Like I said, he only been clicked 3 times now. So does Hernandez do it? I don't know. He can. Don't get me wrong. He definitely can. But I'm going to just pick Alexander Hernandez down the center. -190, +165 on the money line for Michael Johnson. I think there's going to be a lot of Michael Johnson love closer to the fight. But I'm going to rock with the Great Ape, Alexander Hernandez. Let's move on to the next fight. I really don't believe this fight is going to be down this low. It's probably going to be like the feature prelim, but we got Natalia Silva taking on Thug Rose and NAMANAJUNAS. This is an excellent fight. Originally, it was supposed to be Rose versus Alexa Grasso. Grasso had to end up pulling out, and obviously we get Natalia Silva stepping in on short notice. I love the activity of Natalia Silva. I love that she's stamping, her right to the title shot, because that's really what this fight was supposed to be. It was supposed to be Natalia Silva versus Valentina. Not necessarily on this card, but she definitely should have been at least sitting out for the title shot. That's what was supposed to be booked next. But it sounds like Valentina wants to fight the winner of the title shot on this card. So we'll see how that all ends up working. But ultimately, I'm picking Natalia Silva. I think Natalia Silva is literally a younger, better version of Rose NAMANAJUNAS. I think her strike speed is just going to be significantly better. I think her strike versatility is significantly better. She can mix in, the wrestling if she wants to. She doesn't always go to it, but she does have that in her back pocket. She's undefeated in the UFC, very fluid, skates around the ring, enters the pocket, and exits the pocket correctly. She's not really hanging around too long to get, pieced up. You go back and look at the fight against Jessica Andrade, who Yes, it was in Apex, so it was a smaller octagon, but that kind of favored Andrade, who likes to bombard her opponents with big power shots. And the fact that she was able to circle out, enter and exit, and get her combinations off like it was nothing, very impressive. And then the last fight against Alexa Grasso, she made Grasso look like she was never a champion. That's really what it looked like. She had Alexa Grasso chasing her the entire fight, uh, really limited her to boxing, and she couldn't even get into range for that. So I'm thoroughly impressed with what I've seen from Natalia Silva. I think she's going to walk through Rose Namajunas. And, you know, it's kind of crazy to say that because Rose is a former champion. She is very solid. She is a crafty striker herself. She does build as rounds go on, but I don't know, man. It's just, I can't pick Rose today. You know, if this was Rose who we got against, if this was the Rose that fought, I can't really say Wei Lee because it really was I'm not going to say a lucky head kick, but I'll say Joanna. If this was the Rose that fought Joanna, then it's a completely different fight. But this is Rose who's been, you know, tested. She's been hurt. She's been in a lot of fights. And I just don't think this is a style that favors her. I feel as though if she was fighting, you know, a wrestler, she would have more success. You know, you look back her last fight, Miranda Maverick. I actually picked Maverick in that fight. Maverick ended up tearing her ACL, so she wasn't able to complete the fight the way that she wanted to, but it was closer than the scorecards would say. I definitely gave Maverick, you know, rounds of 1, and I think 2 was a toss-up, but I don't know, man. I can't pick Rose here. She's going to have to be in Natalia Silva's face the entire fight. She's going to have to get her to the ground somehow. And Natalia Silva has a tricky guard. She had, who did she have locked up in a submission? I can't remember. It was one of these fights. I can't recall. But she has a tricky jiu-jitsu game. Like I said, her speed is off the charts. I think she's going to piece Rose up for 3 rounds. And we're going to see Natalia Silva getting her octagon interview. Hopefully it's the feature prelim because this is a very important fight for the division. Like I said, Natalia Silva should be next in line for the title shot, and I got her winning against Rose Namajunas here. So saying that heavy odds, minus 380, plus 315, but I think that's honestly true. It's very accurate. I do think the line's probably going to spread closer to fight week 2, but I think the right side of this is Natalia Silva. I think Rose is going to be a favorite dog, you know, the public dog, possibly, but I think you're really just chasing the fandom there. Give me Natalia Silva to win. Next fight, we got Josh HOKIT taking on Denzel Freeman. This pick wasn't hard, but I will say Denzel Freeman is good. I know his debut didn't really look like it against Buljo, or both of them were just on straight BS. But I'm picking Josh HOKIT. I think he's not going to hesitate. That's really the big thing that, you know, the glaring mistake that stood out to me against Denzel Freeman was just hesitation. He was not pulling that trigger in that first fight. Maybe he won't, you know, against HOKIT because he sees the danger in HOKIT, but I'm not going to flip a coin on if you're going to, you know, tackle that. You know what I'm saying? I got to go with the guy who has shown us that, you know, I don't have any hesitation when I get in the octagon. I'm coming out full speed, heavy hands. He can wrestle. He can take you down. He can blitz across the octagon very fast. Dude is, I wouldn't say he's undersized because, you know, heavyweight division is 206 and up. He's 236, but he definitely moves like a lighter heavyweight. And, you know, we got Freeman coming in at 260. He's not that fast, but I will say his striking ability is pretty impressive. He can throw some solid high kicks. We saw it in his last fight against Buljo. He is a really good wrestler. He has a submission win over Steven Asplin, who's a very large heavyweight. And the way that Steven Asplin doesn't have a really good ground game. Granted, that's why he likes to strike. But submitting a big guy like that, excuse me, is pretty impressive. But like I said, I can't rely on a guy who's hesitating in the octagon. He had the opportunity to I believe, finished Bujo, and he just rolled a decision. And it was a very boring fight. He was making more sounds than he was striking. You know what I'm saying? Whereas on the other side, I got HOKIT making his debut, did exactly what he was supposed to do: blitz across the ring, got Jimenez out of there within what, 50 seconds, I think. It might have even been shorter than that. Let's see, 56 seconds. Yeah, came in and got rid of him. A lot of people were, caught on that. Oh, if HOKIT gets reversed in a grappling exchange, I think I ended up saying it too. But yeah, no hesitation from this guy. I'm not hesitating to pick him either. But I will say Denzel Freeman is good. This is just a bad matchup for him because he's got a killer on the other side, whereas he's not going to have someone who's going to dance around with him like Bujo did. I think HOKIT's coming in for blood. I think he's coming in to kill. So give me Josh HOKIT inside the distance. Minus 230 on the money line, plus 195 for Denzel Freeman. I think that's pretty accurate. I do expect HOKIT to probably swell as well. I think we'll probably see him along the lines of like minus 300. And I'm not going to be mad at it. Maybe Denzel Freeman, gives us all a reality check and shows us exactly how good he is. But until I see him tap into no hesitation, just letting it flow and, not speaking in the octagon, and then I'll start picking him more. But it is what it is, man. Next fight, we got Alex Perez taking on Charles Johnson. I've been saying it for a while. I'm a big energy fan, and I think Charles Johnson is coming away with the victory here. Does he finish Alex Perez? I don't know. I'm not gonna say he submits him like he did Asu, because Alex literally walked into that, and I'm thankful that he did because I hit a big ticket on that. But I'm not gonna say he finishes him quite that easily. Perez is still scrappy. He will walk forward. He will throw flurry boxing combinations. I don't think he has a lot of power, but he can keep a high pace. And Charles Johnson does have this thing about him where he does slow. He starts kind of slow, but he's also downloading information. Kind of like, you can kind of relate it to Joshua Van, but it's not really the same, because Charles Johnson will do more than just, throw boxing combinations. He can wrestle. He does have some solid jiu-jitsu. He had Sumadarji in a couple compromised positions in their fight about a year ago. He lost to Timarov, but really this should be a no contest because Timarov ended up popping hot. So hopefully they get that corrected. And then a win last time out against Loner Kavanaugh, where, he, early on, it looked like Kavanaugh was pulling away. He was the faster striker out of the two, but gassed out, and he was able to find the opening. Really, Kavanaugh just backed away with his hands down. Not really sure what the game plan was there, but Charles Johnson found the shot, put him out. This guy has sneaky power. He's got like a long, linky build for the Division II, 5'9" with a 70-inch reach. I think that's going to be incredibly hard for Perez to close distance the way that he wants to. Like Asu and Charles are completely different fighters. Asu wants to grapple, so he's going to stay in that pocket. Charles Johnson, he can strike from range really well. He utilizes, longer attacks really well, especially like kicks. He will, use the oblique kick. He'll teep you. He'll use that jab. He'll find the two down the center. Charles Johnson's a really good striker. I think he's probably pacing up Alex Perez for 3 rounds. I think we do see Perez wobbled maybe once or twice. I will say Perez will probably get a takedown or two in this fight, but we're going to see Charles Johnson work back to his feet, assess the situation, and then, get his striking back going. So give me Charles Johnson. I'll go KO or decision, but money line isn't bad either. Minus 185, plus 160 for Alex Perez. Let's see, that opened minus 200 at open, so a little bit of love on the Perez side. Yeah, open up at plus 170. Hey, I'm going with energy. I'm a Charles Johnson fan. I think he gets it done. KO or decision is the official pick. Next fight, we got Ateba Gautier versus Andre Pulyaev. Man, Pulyaev is a former lock of the week for me against Nick Klein. Got the KO there. But I tell you this, Ateba Gautier is a monster. I think Ateba Gautier is probably going to start him in the first round. I like Pulyaev, man. He's a long-range southpaw, solid durability. He's got sniper straight shots. I would say this is the most competent fighter that Ateba Gautier has fought. You look through his resume, it's Tristan Vines, who was literally like, 3 days notice. It's Valentin, who was curled up in a ball. It's Jose Medina, who axed him to knee him in the face. And then, it's his contender series fight where he had a little bit of, not a hard time, but, Naito gave him a decent fight until he got finished. But I will say Pullyaev is definitely the most well-rounded guy out of the bunch that he's fought in the UFC. But Gauthier, he is a monster. Like, it's not just pressure boxing that you have to worry about. It's like, yo, if he hits you, you're dying. Like, it's not, there's no play with him. Like, if you get touched by him, you're dying. That's the best way I can say it. Like, I don't even know what else do I need to say. The dude is literally baby Francis Ngannou. He's 6'4", 81-inch reach at 185, and he looks all of 230. You know what I'm saying? Like, this dude is a monster. I think his takedown defense is something that has been continuing to improve, but I like that he trains. The gym's not listed, but he also trains with Lerone Murphy. So I know he's getting some good work in. Not against, I'm not saying that Lerone Murphy is a very good sparring partner or anything like that, but that camp is what I'm saying that he comes from. Is very versatile school. He's been working on his jiu-jitsu. I forget the name of the coach, but he's very well rounded. It hasn't really had to show it because, like I said, when he touches you, you die. So I think Pullyaev is going to be very mindful of that power, but I can see him, overcommitting to probably like a jab or something, and Atebe just closes the distance, touches him over the top. I think we're going to see Pullyaev crumble. So I got to go Gauthier. I have to go to guy who's been touching guys and they're dying. So give me literally the silent assassin, Atebe Gauthier, because he doesn't speak at all. They'll say, thank you to my team, and that's it after he just mutilated somebody. So give me Atebe Gauthier to win via death. Minus 900, I understand it. Trust me, I completely understand it. Plus 600 for Pullyaev. I'm not touching those underdog odds at all. I think the way to bet this fight is literally Gauthier round 1 KO, because that's probably what's going to end up happening. But it's probably going to be Nuke too. Let's see. Under 1.5, minus 1,900. My Lord. I don't think that's accurate. Minus 5,000 at open. Yeah, I don't think these lines are are accurate. But yeah, I got Gauthier via destruction, via death, via touch of death, via whatever the hell you want to call it. Give me Gauthier to win. Let's get to the next fight. We got Umar Nurmagomedov taking on Deiveson Figueiredo. I can't trust Figgy in this spot, man. I know he's coming off the win against Montel Jackson last time out, but it was a split decision where it really wasn't that impressive. He was coming off of the questionable knee injury that he had against Corey Sandhagen, where his knee was destroyed. Not really sure how he bounced back. But one thing with Figgy, he's very patient, and I think that's going to be his demise in this fight, where we have Umar, who's very creative. He's got really good pressure. He can put a very high pace out. He's got really fast, sneaky attacks. He's got a really good submission threat. His control, I would say his wrestling control isn't as impressive as Khabib or Islam. Like, guys have been able to get back up to their feet, but it's not guys like Deiveson Figueiredo. It's Mario Batista. It's Merab. It's Corey Sandhagen, who are they're more creative, I would say, than Figgy. And, Umar has been touched a few times. You go back and you look at the Beksat Almakan fight where he got dropped in that first round, but after that, he controlled him for the entire fight. Then you go to the Merab touched him in their fight, but he didn't get dropped, but he definitely got wobbled. And then Bautista hit him with that knee that dropped him. So you can question Umar's chin, but the durability, the conditioning of him has been able to keep him in these fights. He's never been, dropped and getting smashed up against, the cage or anything like that. Whereas we look at Deiveson, he's had a fight stopped because of, the eye injury a couple of years ago against Brandon Moreno, where he got punched in the eye. He thought it was an eye poke, but he literally got punched and he couldn't continue. So he got stopped there. The knee injury against Corey Sandhagen. I think Umar is just going to pick him apart. It's going to be a classic Umar fight, in my opinion. I think it's going to look similar to the Mario Batista fight without him getting dropped, but I would say Deiveson does have some solid power up at bantamweight. But again, he's just too patient for me to pick him against Umar. He does have powerful shots. I just think he relies on that one big moment way too much. And we got Umar who's just putting way too much out there for him to overcome that big moment. Literally similar to that Bautista fight where Bautista had that one big moment, but Umar was able to win the round back, just wrestling, keeping the striking pace on him, in his face, not allowing him to do anything else other than that big moment. So I'm going Umar Nurmagomedov to win via decision. I don't think he finishes Figgy, but to see him as a minus 2,000 favorite is kind of crazy. Damn. Plus 1,000 on the money line for Figgy. It kind of makes you want to take a chance on Figgy, but nah, man, you can't do it. I think the proper outcome is Umar Nurmagomedov winning via decision, and maybe one or two. I mean, definitely one fight away from a title shot. But I will say Umar versus Petr Yan for a title shot, definitely. That's something that you could definitely sell. I think that's a hell of a fight. Maybe they do the Marab rematch before, Yan. And I don't really know who would be next. Maybe if Sean O'Malley, who's later on this card, gets an impressive win, maybe they do the rematch, Yan versus Sean. But I don't think Sean O'Malley deserves another title shot. You know what I'm saying? But we'll get to Sean O'Malley when we get there. Just saying, Umar Nurmagomedov definitely, with this fight alone, he could be in the talks for a title shot. If not, he's definitely one fight away. Next fight, we got Nikita Krylov taking on Modestas Bukauskas. I've been a very high Bukauskas fan. I know I had some iffy moments, or I thought there would be iffy moments for him against Paul Craig last time out, where he absolutely destroyed him with those elbows. But I do think Modestas walks through Nikita Krylov here. Was coming off of 2 knockouts on, a couple months ago. Bogdan Guskov and then Dominic Reyes caught him with that left hook as he's entering the pocket. I can't trust Nikita Krylov's chin at this point in time. I can't trust that, his fight style where he's just ultra aggressive and chaotic and just leaves himself open way too much. Where I got Bukauskas, who's on this resurgence of his career. He's very clean. He's very technical. His grappling defense is sound. He can get overwhelmed in chaotic exchanges, but he's shown his ability to, center himself again and get back to the basics and stay, focused on what he needs to do. I definitely think he has a power edge. I think he's going to win. I think he can click Nikita Krylov. Like, it's not crazy to say he's been knocked out twice, in less than a year. So I wouldn't be surprised if Bukauskas gets a knockout here, but KO or decision is definitely the most likely outcome for me for this fight. And we got Bukauskas at minus 190, plus 165. Definitely thought this line would be a little wider. I would have thought Bukauskas would have been, minus 250, somewhere around there. But getting a solid price on a guy who's going against a guy who's been knocked out twice recently too. And I'm not really sure what Krylov is really fighting for, at this point in his career, because, a win here is not going to put him towards a title shot. It'll probably put him against, like a Mingyang Zhang fight, maybe, but he can end up fighting Mingyang Zhang with a loss too. So I don't know. We'll see what Krylov does after he gets starched again. Maybe it's, retirement. Hopefully he understands that his brain isn't meant to get clicked this often, especially at 33 years old. But we'll see, man. I got Bukauskas either round 2, KO, or decision. Main card opener, if you guys haven't already, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. We got Arnold Allen taking on Jean Lord Silva, coming off his first knockout loss against Diego Lopez, which came in crazy fashion, spinning elbow behind the back, Silva down, getting pummeled. He was an absolute bumpy mess after the fight. He even pushed Diego Lopez after getting knocked out. It was a mess. But I will say, Arnold Allen is not the guy to beat John Silva. I want to know who in the comments is an Arnold Allen fan, because I have not met an Arnold Allen fan today. And the guy he's pretty popular, I will say, amongst the community, but I don't think he's that good. I told you, 2026, I'm going to be more honest. I really don't think he's that good. His claim to fame is knocking out Dan Hooker, down at featherweight 3 years ago. I believe that was his first finish in the UFC. He's got a win against Calvin Kattar, but it was really a knee injury. Then he lost to Max Holloway in his title shot, title eliminator fight, and then lost to Movsar Evloev. But it was a really good fight. I'll give him that. And then a win a year and a half ago against Giga Chikadze, but we just saw Chikadze get starched. I'm not that impressed with Arnold Allen, man. Like, he thrives in pressure exchanges, but we got John Silva on the other side, who's very accurate, who's very efficient, who's got power, who's sneaky. The way that he's able to find shots is ridiculous. Like, if you go back and look at the Diego Lopez fight, they're hand fighting and he sneaks a front kick to the face. It's just, this guy's way too creative for Arnold Allen. Arnold Allen, I think he does the same. He fights the same, literally round in, round out. It's a power shot. He doesn't really use a jab either. He'll throw a crazy kick, and then he'll get back in the pocket and try to throw a flurry. And he doesn't really look to wrestle. I think he overcommits on his power shots, and I think that's going to leave him exposed here. And I think John Silva is going to find a knockout. I think Silva, I already talked about the striking. He's got very elite jiu-jitsu. He's got really good defensive wrestling. I know it didn't really look like it against Diego Lopez, but I think Diego Lopez is pretty much one of one. Like, he's one of one, honestly. That's the best I could say. But John Silva, great range management, great reads. His vision is amazing. I just think he's going to see Arnold Allen loading up, and as soon as he overcommits on that power left hand, because that's exactly what he's going to throw, Silva's just going to touch him, and we're going to see Arnold Allen dropped. We've seen him drop before. You go back and look at the end of the Max Holloway fight, but this time I think he's going out cold. So give me John Silva via knockout. I think it's coming round 2. Later round 2, I'll say. And he's right back on the train. Arnold Allen, year and a half layoff. I believe it was a shoulder injury. He's not that accurate. Takes a lot of damage. I think he's getting clicked. Give me John Silva down the center, minus 220, plus 185 on the money line. It had, obviously this fight wouldn't have been booked had Gene Silva won, but had Silva been coming off of the Bryce Mitchell finish and then it was Arnold Allen, he'd probably be like a minus 350 favorite. You know what I'm saying? So give me John Silva. I'm not concerned with the knockout loss. I know it was three months ago, but I think John Silva is going to be just fine. Next fight, we got Waldo Cortes-ACOSTA taking on Derek the Black Beast Lewis. I think Waldo Cortes does it again. I think he's probably going to find a finish in this one. And I know Derek Lewis is the finish king. He's got, 16 or 17 knockout wins in the UFC alone, I want to say. Yeah, 16. He holds the record for heavyweight, or it might be for the entire UFC, but that win against Taliesin Teixeira was a fluke. I honestly believe Jason Herzog should have been put under investigation for that fight alone. Because Taliesin was working back up to his feet. Yeah, he got clipped. He was working back up to his feet, and he was getting ready to, be back on the offense. So this is what it is. But I'm looking at Waldo. Comes from a boxing base. He's got really good hand speed for the division. He could put a really good pace on you. He's got a very fast, it's like a fastball right hand. He throws it over the top. He's been finding a lot of finishes as of lately. He's been able to roll with shots. His striking defense is amazing. And I'm looking at Derek Lewis, who literally throws just one big shot at a time. And his strike speed isn't that fast. I think Waldo is going to be the counter king in this matchup. I think he's finding Derek Lewis's chin. I think he's going to attack the body well. And Derek Lewis doesn't really have good movement either, especially at his age, where I'm looking at Waldo, who his name is Salsa Boy for a reason. Like, his footwork is really good for this division. He can, he'll utilize the shoulder roll if he needs to. I just don't see Derek Lewis having, his big moment against Waldo. I think this is a terrible stylistic matchup for him. Like, you go back and look at the guys who can move against Derek Lewis. Like, I'm not even talking about Jailton Almeida, but like, let's look at like the Cyril Gane loss, right? Sergey Pavlovich. I'm not gonna really say tied to Ivasa because that was really just a banger type of fight. JDS. That's really all I need. We don't really need to go back further, but really like Sirogan and Sergey Pavlovich. That's really the two that come to mind. And look at what Pavlovich was able to do against Waldo. It really wasn't much. Like he hit him with 2 clean shots the entire fight, and Waldo ate him like it was nothing. He was able to roll. He was able to evade a lot of shots, and he was able to get his own offense going. I think Waldo is going to see the big shot coming. He's going to find Derek Lewis's chin, who has been knocked out a couple of times. He's 40 years old. I can't trust in the Black Beast here. And, maybe he proves me wrong again. And if he does find a finish over Waldo, which would definitely be impressive, he'll probably find himself, in a title eliminator or maybe even a title shot. Maybe we get the rematch with Volkov next, who's really just sitting in the wind right now because of what happened between Tom Aspinall and Sirogan. But I'll tell you what, Waldo Cortez is on a run right now. The Gaethje fight, short notice, flew across the goddamn world to do it. Found the finish. Ante Dalia got, poked in his eye bad, who's Tom Aspinall's training partner, who just released a statement a couple of days before this fight saying that, I'm not really sure how guys poke each other in the eye, and then he ends up doing it himself and then gets finished after, the restarting of the fight. Waldo is looking like a monster right now. Like I said, putting 2 finishes together, I think the third one is coming. So give me Waldo Cortez via knockout, minus 310 on the money line, plus 260. I understand it. It's not that bad, but I do think Waldo finds the chin. So give me Waldo Cortez. Next fight, we got the feature fight of the night, Sean O'Malley versus Song Kung Fu Kid Yadong. I liked this fight initially when it was matched up, but as I did the breakdown, I think this is a toss-up. Not a toss-up, excuse me. This is a layup for Sean O'Malley. I think he's just going to pick Song Yadong apart. Song Yadong doesn't really look to wrestle, so he's not going to have to worry about that too much. I think Song Yadong is very reactionary. Then I'm looking at his last fight against Henry Cejudo. Look prior to the stoppage, right? Because it was an eye poke. They ended up going to the technical decision, which kind of screwed Henry over, whatever. But he was struggling to have range success against Henry Cejudo, who is literally the shortest bantamweight in the division at the time. And if you're struggling to manage range against Henry Cejudo, then what the hell do you think you're about to do with Sugar Sean O'Malley, who is literally the range master at 130? Well, one of the range masters at 135. I don't get it. Like I said, O'Malley, long range weapons, high level footwork, good head movement. I think he beats everyone in the division not named Pyotr Merab, Umar. And I want to see how that Peyton Talbot fight ends up looking, because I think Talbot and Sean O'Malley is a hell of a fight. But Jan, Umar, and Merab are the 3 that I don't think Sean O'Malley beats. Everybody else, I think he can pretty much not walk through them, but he'll get the W. Most of his shots are going to be opening up after keeping Song occupied with the jab, because that's one thing that I noticed with Song Yadong. If you keep a jab in his face, everything else is open, and he just does not know how to defend anything other than the jab. Like, yeah, don't get me wrong, his striking defense is solid, but like I said, if you keep a jab in his face, his hands are so tight, they're always up in his face, and you could just rip body kicks. You could rip combinations to the body. You can even shoot a takedown on him. And when you get to wrestling on Song Yadong, he becomes very reactionary. Like the Henry Cejudo fight, the dude was sprawling to save his life, and all Henry did was reach. You know what I'm saying? So I think Sean O'Malley is going to be able to create a lot of openings off of the pivots, going back to the footwork. His feint games is top tier. I think he can fight. His ability to fight out of both stances opens up a lot of options for him. You go back and you look at the Piotr Jan fight where he rocked Jan over the top off of the stance switch. Yeah, he got rocked back, but he was able to, pull off the win, because I know a lot of people think Piotr Jan won that fight. It was a really close fight. But again, man, looking back to Song Yadong, he's primarily a boxer. He's got explosive hands. He's got solid power, but he's having a hard time to find and stay at his own range. He's struggling with Cejudo. He can wrestle, but it's not really a strong suit. I don't think he has the best control against Sean O'Malley. I think he needs to the fight to remain in the pocket against Sean O'Malley, who's looking to stay on the outside. And like I said already, struggling to have range success. Keep your own range is going to be pretty hard for Song Yadong. He doesn't really cut the cage off well either. He's really like chasing majority of the time. So give me Sean O'Malley to just pick him apart for 3 rounds. And I wouldn't be shocked if he, has a big moment, like drops him or wobbles him or anything like that. But I think Song Yadong, has Song Yadong ever been stopped in UFC? I think he's been submitted. Well, I know he's got the TKO from Corey, but that's because it was doctor stoppage. Let's see. He's been in UFC for a minute. His last his only knockout loss was 2016. So I think he gets dropped. I don't know if he gets finished, but I'm going Sean O'Malley to win in Sugar style. So give me Sugar Show to get back on the W train. Co-main event of the evening, we got the Lady Goats, the Goats, going at it. Kayla Harrison taking on Amanda Nunes. I'm picking Amanda Nunes. Fuck Kayla Harrison. Don't get me wrong, I respect Kayla Harrison, but I'm going Amanda Nunes, man. Maybe it's a little bit of bias. It is what it is, but I think Amanda Nunes is just too much on the feet for Kayla Harrison. I'm looking at the fight against Caitlin Vieira where she was, I think it's like the elephant in the room, but like Caitlin Vieira had some success on the feet when she was able to stay there. Granted, Kayla Harrison was able to walk through majority of that and get her taken down and control the fight, but I think Amanda Nunes' takedown defense is better than Caitlin Vieira's. I know you can look at the Juliana Pena fight and say, oh, she got submitted by Pena, and then Harrison literally ran through Juliana Pena, 6 months ago. But I felt as though Amanda was off in that fight. I think she was already contemplating retirement at that point, I believe. And then she came back, got the decision when she dropped Pena a couple of times in that fight, and then had the Irene Aldana fight 2.5 years ago. I know the 2-year layoff is 2.5-year layoff is scary. She's 37. She didn't have the child, but her spouse had a child. I believe they have 2 now. There's a lot of things that go into Amanda Nunes making this comeback, but I think she had that hunger to come back, and it was definitely against, this is the only fight that would have made her come back, and it's the only fight that did make her come back. And I think she wants to prove that she's the best female fighter ever, and I think she's going to. I think her striking is too powerful. She normally has the ability to walk her opponents down with the striking, and I think she's going to be able to walk Kayla down. Kayla's going to have to be relentless with the wrestling. And then I'm also factoring in that huge weight cut that she's had to miss. She's looked really red in the face in a couple of her fights. She trains with this Australian girl who fought not too long ago. I want to say her name is like Morgan or something like that. I'll figure her name out. Montagu. That's her name, Montagu. She fought a couple months ago against the Brazilian girl. I'll get her name closer to fight week, and just to give you guys some more input. But she trains with her, and they kind of fight similar. They're terrible on the feet, but their wrestling is pretty top tier. But I just think Kayla is just going to be at such a huge disadvantage where she's going to have to keep Amanda down. I think she's a fish out of water on the feet. I think she's got big slams, she's got good top control. She can finish when she's put in dominant positions, but I don't think Amanda is going to be put in a dominant position again. I think she's just going to. Another thing we also have to mention, the doping policy in the UFC now has changed up. So maybe we get a juiced Amanda Nunes. Who knows? Maybe we do, maybe we don't. Maybe we get Kayla off the juice, who a lot of people have already accused her of, because this girl is ginormous. I think she walks around like 170 and then cutting to 135. Yikes. But it's a legacy fight. I think she's going to be able to shrink the octagon with her power. I think she's going to have Kayla Harrison wrestling off the back foot, wrestling while backing up, which is a terrible decision for her to make, or, it's not really feasible to do. And I think she's going to drain Kayla with the striking. I think Amanda finishes Kayla Harrison. I think Amanda comes back, gets her title, finishes Kayla, and retires same night. So I'm going with the Lioness to avoid the wrestling exchanges. I think she's going to be able to defend. I think those first 3 that she defends are the most important, because I think Kayla's going to be really red. I think she's going to be really tired. And then we're going to see Amanda get her striking going, which is Kayla's biggest fear, because she can't strike. I really don't think Kayla can strike. Like, she throws heavy hands, but she doesn't flow with them together. She's really stiff on the feet too. She enters the pocket really stiff. Like, all that muscle, man, it doesn't really work in her favor when it comes to striking. Like, wrestling, sure, you got it. But when she's unable to get the fight to the floor and she's caught on the feet, I think we're going to see the big discrepancy, and I think Amanda is going to walk her down. Give me the Lioness to win, man. And we got her at underdog odds, plus 180, plus, minus 210 on the money line for Kayla Harrison. I think Amanda Nunes does it, man. Maybe, my mind changes as we get closer to fight week, but I strongly believe that Amanda Nunes is the greatest female fighter of all time, and I think she's going to cement it beyond cemented status that she already has with a finish over Kayla Harrison. So I'm going with the Lioness. Main event of the evening. If you guys haven't already, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. We got Paddy the Baddie taking on the highlight, Justin Gaethje. I'm picking Paddy Pimblett to win via finish. Probably going to be a submission round 2, round 3. That's strongly what I believe. Justin Gaethje, phenomenal fighter, phenomenal striker, but the guy cannot grapple to save his damn life. He's got wrestling credentials, right? But he just doesn't use it in MMA. And then I don't know if it's because he's scared to or if he can't really do it. But I just can't rely on Justin Gaethje, who's already mentioned, if I don't get a title shot, I'm retiring. Now he gets an interim, and it's a bad matchup. Like, yes, it says on paper 5'11", 5'10", but I really think Paddy is the larger guy out of the two. I definitely think he definitely walks around heavier than Justin, but I think he's going to be a lot heavier than Justin on fight night. I'm looking at Justin's chin, dropped by Charles Oliveira. Dustin didn't drop him in that fight. He got clicked by Max Holloway, and then the striking didn't really, it was the same striking that we saw from Justin Gaethje in a FIGUEIREDO 2 fight, but he also was very stiff. And then I'm looking at Paddy, who can flow on the feet. He can flow with the wrestling. He's got very good jiu-jitsu. I really wanted to see him versus Charles Oliveira. That was the fight that I was hoping we were going to get, but things happened with Ilya at the top, so now the UFC had to scramble and make this. This is a very good Paramount debut. Don't get me wrong. I love this fight, but I think that Paddy is just going to be able to do whatever he wants with Justin Gaethje. Like, yeah, he's going to have to overcome, some big shots, but I think he's going to be able to do it very easily. You look at the Michael Chandler fight, he was able to control him. He got the TKO. I think it's going to look similar to that, except we're going to see Justin, I don't think he's going to tap. I think he's going to get put to sleep. And it could be a triangle. It could be a rear naked choke. It could be an anaconda. I think Paddy's just way too skillful on the ground. And I think Justin's biggest hole is the ground game. I think he's going to get taken down, probably off of a trip. That's how I imagine it to happen. And I just see him getting subbed by Paddy Pimblett, and we get, Paddy versus Ilya probably, July, August time frame. Hopefully Ilya gets his, family resolved. I hate to see, another man go through that, but I really strongly believe Paddy Pimblett is going to walk away with the interim belt wrapped around his waist January 24th. I was about to say this Saturday, but we're about 3 weeks out now, so it's not this Saturday. But again, Paddy the Baddie, very good striker, very good jiu-jitsu, very good wrestling. Good low kicks, strong jab. He's got youth, he's got speed, he's got power. I just think it's tricky for Justin Gaethje to walk away victorious after this fight. If he ends up retiring, salute to Justin. I really wish he would hang around for probably like 1 or 2 more, but it's kind of like, who does he fight? You know, maybe we get the Dan Hooker fight rebooked. Maybe we get an Arman Sarukian fight. There's a lot of fights for Justin that he can make. It's just, is his body going to allow him to do it? And I think he's been, you know, listening to his body, which is why he mentioned that he wants to retire. So if you want to retire, man, I think after you get subbed is probably the best way to do it. And I'm going with Patty to win. Minus 230 on the money line, plus 195 for Justin Gaethje seems pretty accurate to me. I strongly believe Justin Gaethje is going to sleep come this Saturday. But that is what I got for the full card predictions. The UFC Paramount debut, UFC 324. Let me know in the comments what you guys thought of the card. I think there's a lot of good fights. Ateba Gautier, Umar, Sean O'Malley, Song Yadong, the 2 title fights. I really think this is a solid debut for the UFC to make. Let me know, 1 through 10, what you guys think of the card, what you think of, Paramount putting all of the fights on Paramount Plus now, so we don't have to scatter around YouTube, ESPN, the UFC Fight Pass app. It's been a mess for the last few months, I'll say, trying to find, fights that either just recently happened or a fight that stylistically makes sense. Now that it's all on Paramount Plus, definitely helps me out. And if you guys don't have the subscription already, I definitely, don't get me wrong, I don't work for Paramount Plus, but watch the fights how you do, if you know what I'm talking about, or just get the Paramount Plus subscription. But I'm definitely enjoying the UFC getting its big platform. I think it's going to be phenomenal. I'm excited to see how the new I can't even see pay-per-view, the new numbered events look. We're getting a new start time for the main card, 9 p.m. rather than 10. So earlier nights, which means easier recap videos for me. I'm thoroughly enjoying the Paramount UFC deal, and I'm ready for UFC 324. So let me know in the comments what you guys thought of the breakdowns, what you think of the fights. Whatever you got to say, drop a W in the comments. Like, comment, subscribe, share the video. And like always, I will see you guys for the lock of the week. Fight week, not, later this week. Fight week. So stay tuned for that. Turn on your post notifications as well. And peace out.